Hello, it's just Rachel here again. In this video I want to talk about the power of PIMO, or PIMOs. If you don't know what PIMO means, it means physically in and mentally out. So it's really those who are still, for all intents and purposes, appear on the outside to be believing Jehovah's Witnesses, attending meetings, going out in field service, but really mentally they're out. They no longer believe the claims of the organisation. So PIMOs can be very influential in their congregations, and I think the Melbourne protest that was just over the last weekend at the big international convention, the protesters were very pleasantly surprised, I think, at the number of people that they think are probably PIMO. They had one of their signs say, "Smile if you're PIMO." And they did get smiles and nods and thumbs ups. So, you know, it would be interesting to know just how many people who are in the congregations these days and attended the convention, how many of them would really fit that category. One thing, there were some quite good experiences that I've read online from those who attended the convention as a PIMO, and they were able to relate back to the protesters what was being said inside the convention. And one of them reported that every conversation inside was about, has my husband just come home? Hello, husband. Hello. I'm making a video. He said that every conversation was about the protesters, so they certainly were noticed. Someone else, another protester, related an experience where he was talking to someone who was PIMO outside, and then a brother came walking along, marching along, looking like he might be an elder who might tell this other brother off or try to steer him away from talking to the protesters. But what he said was, "Everything they're saying is true." I thought that was quite amusing. So others apparently turned up to go to the convention, probably had their arms twisted by family members, only to see the protesters, get brave, and then go and join them. And they were given t-shirts. So that's a really good account. What else was there? Someone said that they were inside the convention, and a witness they were talking to sort of talked about the protesters and said she felt sorry for them because no one was looking at their signs, which doesn't seem to be the case, because the protesters themselves noticed people looking at their signs, looking in their direction. So yeah, maybe that was her wishful thinking, that no one was looking at the signs. But then she said she felt sorry for the protesters, so I don't know. I myself have a couple of friends from here, from New Zealand, that were present at the convention, and I'm sure when I speak to them next they'll have some interesting stories to share with me. You know who you are. I'm sorry you got shunned though by family. That's not too nice, but I'm sure you'll be able to share a few things that you heard from inside the convention. Anyway, talking about PIMOs and how many there might be and who they might be, because you just don't know. I had an experience a few weeks ago now, and I was out with a friend of mine who's fading, and trying to fade without losing her relationship with her daughter. So I hope she's successful with that. But anyway, we were out together and we were visiting, it was an art trail actually. We were visiting different art studios and things, and it was something that had been arranged by the city council and advertised well. In the back of my mind, I was a little bit wary that because this event occurred in the city where my friend lives, it was always a possibility that witnesses might see her with me. And the very first place that we went to, who did we see? We saw a couple that used to be in my old congregation who knew me well and would have recognised me, of course, and they saw her and that said hello to her. One of them did anyway, and it's not immediately apparent that they knew we were together. I'm not sure. They might not have realised. But we waited after this meeting. We were expecting to get some kind of feedback. Perhaps if this couple mentioned it to elders in their congregation that they'd seen her with me, an apostate, stupid word, that she could expect visits from the elders. But that hasn't happened, not yet, not as far as I know. And I was just thinking, I was saying to my friend that I knew this couple quite well in my old congregation, and I really liked them. Liked them very much, actually. Really lovely couple, funny, friendly, you know, serious and studious. And I just can't imagine them, you know, because if they did report to the elders about my friend, then it would destroy her relationship with her daughter. And I just couldn't imagine them doing that. And deep down I kind of hope that maybe one of them might be a PIMO. I don't know. I hope so. Because I know from experience of being on the forums over the last few years, the ex-witness forums, there are brothers who they might even be elders, who it's difficult for them to leave the organisation because they have family there. But what some of them choose to do is remain in a position as an elder, or even try to qualify to be an elder so that they can be nice elders, at least, be more reasonable and kind towards those in the congregation. So I'm kind of hoping that this brother that we saw is like that, but I don't know, might just be me dreaming. Speaking of dreams, I had quite an interesting one a few weeks back that had me feeling really emotional, actually. It was a Kingdom Hall dream, because sometimes I do have those where I'm at a Kingdom Hall or an assembly or convention. They're usually pretty weird. But this one, I was at my local congregation in the meeting, and I noticed there were a few people in there that seemed a little bit agitated and sort of shuffling around on their seats and moving about. And one of them started crying, and she got up and walked out of the meeting. And as the minutes ticked by, it was sort of like in between, it was like a pause in between the public talk and the Watchtower study, and a few more people trickled out looking a bit upset, and it turned out like half the congregation walked out of the meeting, and they were just all standing in the foyer. And I thought, what's going on here? And then Well, it didn't turned out not to be a Watchtower study. It was a video with Anthony Morris giving a talk, and it dawned on me that they were voting with their feet. They were basically conveying that they did not like what Anthony Morris had to say, and so they were leaving. And I was just overjoyed, and I was crying and thinking, oh, they've woken up, they're waking up, they're, you know, they're leaving. They can see through him, because he's not a very, he's always comes across as very scolding and judgmental. Not very nice, nothing warm about him at all. Sorry, Anthony Morris. But you know, it started to make me think about just how many people there might be in the congregations who are PIMO, and I just wish that more would vote with their feet. You know, many do that with their wallets; they don't contribute anymore. But it would be nice to see people be brave, and when something's not right, they know it's not right, then to stand up for what is right, you know. And you know, anyway, I feel like I'm waffling on and haven't got my words right, but anyway, if you've got any interesting PIMO stories, or if you are a PIMO and were at the Melbourne convention, or in fact any congregation meeting, I would love to hear any experiences you have, what the witnesses, current witnesses are saying, grumbling about, murmuring about, like Stephen Lett was talking about, murmuring. I'd love to know, so put them in the comments below, that'd be great. Thank you. Bye.